All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's Maximizing Profitability webinar. My name is Gabe Hernandez. I am with the Florida Graphics Alliance. We are the printing association for the state of Florida. And I thank you all for making some time today to join this webinar. Today, we have two speakers that will be sharing on maximizing profitability. First, we'll have Jack Lafler. He's the Vice President of Sales and Technical Services for High Flow Solutions. Jack is a seasoned professional in the printing and packaging industry with 30+ years of experience and has worn many hats in his career, including shop floor manager, VP of Technical Services for a $54 million print company. He has over 15 years of MIS ERP experience in the industry, and he's helped packaging and print companies transform their production and business ecosystems with technology. And today he's going to introduce productivity, automation, and data management systems with HighFlow. We also will have Craig Press, who's the president and founder of Profectus. Craig is the owner, senior consultant for Profectus Inc. He has over 40 years of experience in all areas of the printing and packaging industry, including sales, pricing, estimating, order entry, customer service, plant production, cost accounting, inventory control, purchasing, accounting, and technology. Basically everything under the roof of a print shop. He has contributed to the success of hundreds of print industry organizations throughout North America, representing every segment of the industry. So these are your speakers today. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you do have any questions, we're going to do all the questions, the Q&A at the end of the presentation. Just put them in that Q&A area down there, and then I will moderate and ask those questions. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on floridagraphics.org probably sometime tomorrow. And then we'll also be emailing you guys a link to that, and it'll be on the HighFlow website as well. So, you know, if you have a peer or something that wants to look at it, it'll be available there probably sometime tomorrow. So, again, if there are any questions, please put it in that Q&A area. And then later on in the presentation, we're going to do a live poll. That'll pop up on your screen. Just it's a multiple choice question. Just click on the answer, and it'll give us some live data while we're going through this. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jack. Thank you, Jack.
Okay, thank you, Gabe. I appreciate it. So welcome you guys to the Maximizing Profitability with Data-Driven Solutions for Print and Packaging Industries. As Gabe said, excuse me, as Gabe said, there will be a Q&A at the end of Craig's session. So please, when we're in the middle of presenting, write your questions then, and we'll get to them at the end. It would be just much smoother transition for the question and answer period. Thank you for doing that. And all questions are welcome. We love questions. So HighFlow Solutions, again, I'm Jack Lafler with HighFlow Solutions. I represent HighFlow Solutions. It's been established in 1999. It's an independently family-owned company. There are 5,500 satisfied users worldwide, 120 production plants across the world, and the headquarters is Miami, Florida. What we're going to cover today in the table of contents: key market trends, market challenges, proven strategies to overcome challenges, designing the optimal process to your organization, and an exclusive bonus at the end. So we're going to discover the latest shifts and innovations shaping the industry, identify key obstacles, and explore strategic solutions, and a step-by-step guidance to tailor processes to drive success. Market trends are mostly positive. The PMI index hovers slightly below 50, which is a good estimator for future gross domestic product. Shipping costs have risen over 20%, and almost 70% of the production managers expect growth this year. As you can see, disrupted supply chains due to COVID-19 are becoming less of a problem, reduced impact from 70% to 30%. Long-term estimates for the packaging and print industry show a stable 4% year-on-year growth. These suggest a stable foundation for growth. but it doesn't mean that growth will be evenly distributed. To experience it, you must equip themselves with tools that enable this growth, like high flow solutions. Challenges. So your recruitment of employees and expecting significant challenges, the ongoing challenge of recruiting adequately skilled employees, compliance costs that nearly make up 20%, payroll costs in a company, a factor often overlooked. Insurance costs have risen over 7%. We may be able to assist you with the rising we may not be able to assist you with the rising transportation costs, but we can support you in enhancing efficiency, maximizing machine utilization, and optimizing human resources. What's most important is that we can provide you with cost monitoring tools at every step of the production process that includes tracking actual profits for individual jobs, overall accounts, or across all production. So I just want to skip back for a second here real quick. So substrate costs are up 5%, electricity is over 5%, freight is over 5.9%, and above hourly average is almost 6% for labor costs, skilled labor shortages. And then again, you guys are experiencing this when you're out in the hiring world and looking for experienced people, you're finding it very hard without incentive programs. Key resources to track: quality, performance, and availability. And that's where you should be focusing your attention. So to achieve the best results, it's essential to focus on those aspects that can quickly impact profitability. Focusing on quality, performance, and availability, which means OEE, or overall equipment effectiveness, is a natural approach. It's well known as a standard in manufacturing. Rising costs influencing margin solution, margin assurance, profit protection, real-time cost return. So in today's dynamic market, rising costs pose a constant challenge, but with high flow, you gain strategic control over your product costs, ensuring profitability at every step. At low margins, it's important for you to know what your profit margin is. High flow solutions, our system recalculates costs during the production order approval. It's the only system on the market providing ongoing cost analysis. It utilizes a 3-stage automatic calculation that takes place at the estimating phase, the order phase, and post-production phase. With high flow, you not only stay ahead of the rising costs, but you also ensure sustained profitability for your business. How we do this, you're right at the beginning. So in our estimates, we're projecting out for each quantity what the pricing schema should be per thousand, what it should be as cost and gross profit. What we're looking for is gross profit percentage across the board. So again, we're looking at each quantity and breaking it down into gross profit, production costs, total markup costs, and then again, the value to sell it at, which includes all of the production facility and what we're going to do to touch each one of the production pieces, and also all of the materials that would be included to do this at every quantity level. That's how we begin to do this. This is formulated in estimating. When we turn an order into an order, we're actually looking at the quantity ordered. And then we're projecting out that same sales commission, sales value, profit from the job, surplus, unassigned quantity. So as Craig will bring up later, that's why it's essential to have up-to-date BHRs, because again, these numbers then mean something. This also includes the production details such as sheeting and offset printing, and then of course, what is included in the materials to do this job as it's entered to the shop floor. So it's real important to understand that you're projecting a cost, you're taking in that cost to effect when you turn it from quote to job, and then you're recording against the job exactly what your live feed data gives you for shop floor data collection. This is a post-calculation report. It's one of the most used reports in the high flow system. And again, it's giving you estimated value, job order value, and post-production value. And so it goes one by one through all the categories, what was ordered, what was actually produced, what the job values were at those levels, what the estimated and actual job costs were, what the estimated was as far as service costs, material costs, profit and loss, and then, of course, your final profitability estimated and actual, which includes, of course, all of your services that you rendered. In this case, we have outside services and inside services. So we define each one of those to come down to the exact costs. And of course, what materials were used. So we can define that profitability and deviation. Internal issues such as we issued 18-point board to be printed and then sent out for die cutting. And internal receipts such as what we received back off of the final procedure, which would be folding and gluing that went into carton packing and palletization. So I'd like to share with you a short video of how we do this. How do we get all these costs registered in an automated fashion? We do that through the MES manufacturing execution system. And this is just a short video to show you this. So the left-hand side of the screen here is an actual operator screen, what they see while they're running their machine. In this case, it's a press, it's a Comco 22-1. And as we go through our day, it's going to track everything that we do, whether we do this from the sensors off the machine or we do this through the operator. There's several ways to attack this to gather the data in a very functional way that gives you up-to-date data as you're going through the day. The monitor is typically broadcast on a large monitor throughout the plant, and so you can see what machines are connected and what those people are doing that are connected to via their shop floor. So as we go through different phases, such as unassigned downtime, it's recording the run, it's recording the good count. And of course, if we get into an overrun situation, it's going to record that as well. So the idea is that real-time data is driving decision-making. I may have to make a change in scheduling. I get updates from scheduling on a regular basis because I'm getting this information pushed to scheduling. If I have error reports, I simply record them at the end of the run. And that's how we get this. So again, how long a task has been running, how many times has it already been produced, how much time is left to complete the task. We see all that in the overview on the shop floor monitor, and we also see it in the operator panel. So thank you for that. Gain full control with HiFlow's real-time shop floor visibility. So live production monitoring, automated downtime alerts, and instant performance insights. These are what I just showed you during the video. So live production monitoring, obviously we're monitoring the machines as they go through their pace of the day. HiFlow ensures you to have insights and control needed to optimize production, reduce waste, and maintain seamless operations. So what is this? How does this help me? Eliminate end-to-end surprises. In the shift is very important as we transform from one shift to another, not to lose time. Proactive inventory management. We're very proactive, and we're marking down what materials we're using as we use them. We're marking down what materials we're removed from material handling to the press and then to die cutting and so on and so forth. So it doesn't matter what process it is in the Euro printing plant. It monitors those processes. Continuous updates, we're continually updating, and that, of course, is continually updating your waste management. HiFlow ensures you have the insights and the control needed to optimize production, reduce waste, and maintain seamless operations. Unlock the business of HiFlow for your business. So enhance visibility, visualize the work of production employees for better oversight. How do we do this? What does this mean? We use a lot of different tools that are visual tools inside of HiFlow. One of them is the HiFlow workflow diagram. This is built during the estimating phase of a job and then reorganized as we take the quote into an order. So as we dive down into specific areas, we see the whole workflow. So we see pre-press activities for 2 different sheets that are going to run through the press. We see the press activities, we see the die cutting activities. The whole lineage of the job is here. So from die cutting to folding, gluing to, excuse me, to carton packing and to palletization is all covered within the whole workflow to get to the point of your job is ready to be shipped. With inside the graph, we know that it's printing on a KBA repeater. We know that it's on 18-point board. We know what elements are up and out on the sheet, and we know exactly how it fits to the sheet. If you do a integration to your pre-press system, we also will have a complete view, a preview of how that laid to the substrate. And that doesn't matter what it is, whether it's commercial printing, labels, flexible packaging, or folding carton manufacturing. If I want to dive deep into a particular task, such as press, I simply click on the button and I come down into what exactly is going to take place on the press. So again, color rotation is very important. What's on the sheet? So I have 2 elements on the sheet, one up, one out. I have an extra polymer for my varnish. I have plates for my cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. So CMYK. And of course, another chance to look at the description of what's taking place on the press. What substrate am I using? What press am I using? How it's laid out to the sheet, and how the sheet is going to run through the press. So all this is in each one of the functions. So it's not just press, it's in die cutting. It's wherever you have a function, a manufacturing function, you can do a deep dive down into it. So unlock the benefits of a high flow for your business. So again, we talked just briefly about the workflow diagram. Now we're going to talk about performance insights. So quickly and objectively measure each production worker's efficiency, compare workers' performance to identify top performers and areas for improvement. High flow ensures you have insights and control needed to optimize production, reduce waste, and maintain seamless operations. How do we do this? We have time-effective dashboards. This is Power BI reporting that comes out of high flow. And so therefore you're able to set up your dashboards how you would like. So this is just a time effectiveness dashboard for certain people that run a certain press. You first set your parameters of how you want the filter to search. You set up your search criteria, how you want it set up. And then, of course, you get the end results. So we have make-ready hours, we have run hours, we have washing hours. So when I look at Chris Dykes, I see he does very well in make-ready. He's a little off in his run. Maybe he needs a little help with something on the machine, but his washing hours are also in the green. So again, we're in very good shape in make-ready and washing. Maybe just needs to have a chat with us to see what we can do about his run hours. We can compare him to Chris Mitchell and Louis Diehard. We're not really going to compare him to Andrew because Andrew has been out on sick leave. So therefore, his information, as you see, even his wash time is incomplete. So there's no comparison there to take place. However, we have a comparison to Chris Mitchell, and we see that Chris Mitchell is not doing so well in make ready, run time, and washing time, as you see here. So he's in the red all the way through, and he's over his allotment completely for washing hours. So we may want to talk to him and see if he can't talk to Chris and see why the two Chris's are so different. Maybe we need to make changes on the machine. Maybe it's a process or a procedure, but we have the data available to make these decisions in real time. So you can check these on a daily basis, an hourly basis, however you choose, and really see what is taking place on the shop floor. And lastly, we can compare it to Louis Diehard. Louis is doing very well in his run hours, but his washing hours and his make ready hours are what we would consider out of control, and we need to take a look and see why he's having such problems. So it might be time to sit down with all three and see if there's a difference in their process or their procedures for all three stages of the work on the press, and to see again what that means. So now when you see the time differences, it's all based on real-time reporting that you're getting out of the high flow system using the MES and the shop floor data collection. So unlock the benefits of high flow for your business. We are constantly monitoring, so monitoring work in progress. So high flow ensures that you have the insights and control needed to optimize production, reduce waste, and maintain seamless operations. Another way we do this, again, is off of the shop floor data collection monitors. So this monitor has everything that an operator needs to work with to give us his updates. And inside that, then the SCADA monitor, which is usually broadcast on a 55-inch screen, is showing us exactly what's taking place with each stage of a job. So we see how long a task has been running. We know how many items have been produced, how much time is left to complete. That's all inside of this monitor. We see an overall view of each of the machines and what they're doing, whether it's overrun, make ready, run. They're in the middle of a customer review, so looking at that, and expecting a make ready time longer than normal. And then, of course, run time where we have an unassigned downtime. So if I'm a manager and I'm walking across the floor, I might want to take a walk over to Aquaflex and just see what's going on, what's taking place that's causing you the problem that you're in unassigned downtime. So again, right-hand side is the monitor, which you saw in the movie. Left-hand side is the operator panel, which is typically viewed from a iPad or a smart pad of some sort, or from a PC. Unlock the benefits of high flow for your business. So again, high flow ensures you have the insights and control needed to optimize production, reduce waste, and maintain seamless operations. This is what all these tools are meant to do, so you make better decisions about what should be done in scheduling, what should be done for material handling. So you're handling all of the different aspects of a job as it runs through the shop floor. We have another dashboard. So we have as many dashboards as you want to create. These are Power BI reports, and those dashboards then give you profitability reports. So this particular profitability report is laid out with filters. So my filters are what I choose that I want to take a look at. And in this case, I'm looking at January, February, and March, and profit by year and month, and actual profit. I'm also looking at my CSRs and seeing that Brian Yu is carrying a very good load. And you can see that, again, he's our best CSR at this point based on his profitability. Maybe I want to share some of his load to get these guys more in a line. That would be a decision I could take a look at. So again, you're making decisions in real time based on information that's happening as it's taking place on the shop floor. And these reports, again, run over the whole gamut of the system. So everything from estimates to billing and everywhere in between, and plus profitability. I may take a look at this and see two jobs that are very similar to each other and say, geez, why the differences? If they're similar jobs with similar runs, why the differences? And take a look at that and note why and where I'm running into difficulty. I may even look at profit by assortment of work. So my beverage industry covers a 58 percentile of the work I run on the floor. So it's my largest market that I sell to. So I may want to take a look at that versus what, say, Ryan is handling, and see if that mix matches. So the whole idea is to give you that real-time reporting to help you make better decisions. So benchmarking the effectiveness of your production workflow. So maximize employee efficiency, optimize machine output, and manage materials and minimize waste. So how does this process take place? You unlock valuable insights by gaining fast access to comprehensive data across your entire business and production landscape. So again, this real-time reporting based on your estimate versus your job versus your actual, and that taking place throughout the day gives you updated, valuable insights. You're able to make more informed decisions based on these valuable insights, and therefore you're able to optimize your resources and strategize the optimal allocation of resources, enhancing efficiency and effectiveness in purchasing and operations, which then again leads you to driving profitability. So again, it's unlocking these valuable insights that really makes this happen. Making those informed decisions is what drives you to optimizing your resources. And then once your resources are optimized, you are then allowed to make profits based on all of your informed decisions. Driving efficiency, the impact of the high flow system. Ensure work standards. The system guarantees compliance with work standards, ensuring consistent quality. Error prevention, built-in safeguards prevent users from making mistakes. Reducing errors, that's all part of error prevention. Increased efficiency. Automation of tasks allow employees to complete more tasks faster, improving overall productivity. Labor, excuse me, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, labor benefits. Reduces the need for highly skilled personnel for every aspect of the process, leading to a shorter onboarding process and easier training for new employees. So I don't always need the most skilled person to do some of the shop floor activities. And I can see that through my shop floor data collection and how I'm addressing each one of the tasks in labor. Margin monitoring. The system automatically monitors the profits, right? So for each calculation, you're providing a real-time insight into financial performance and aiding in the strategic decision-making. And by benchmarking these areas, you can identify opportunities for improvement, drive efficiency, and boost your bottom line. And this is real important when you start thinking about why we collect this data, why we use this data. And everybody says, well, it all depends on the people on the floor. It does not. You can hook up sensors to the machines that will feed most of the data and just rely on your people to give us downtime data. But the moving from a real-time run into a save mode to a downtime mode and back is all automated. So the idea is that these work standards are ensured, the prevention details are in there. The increased efficiency comes from you being able to watch and see who's efficient in that monitor. And then, of course, the labor benefits that come from that. If at the end of this session you are interested in a demo of HighFlow, please come to the highflowsolutions.com website where you'll see get a demo right here in that screen. At that point, you would be in the queue to receive a $5,000 discount on your HighFlow license when you book a meeting today. So if you book a demo meeting today, you will be registered for that $5,000 discount if in fact you choose HighFlow to be your MIS provider. So I want to thank you very much, you guys, for your attention. Sorry for the little faux pas, and hope that you enjoy the second part of this. As I said, questions and answers will be at the end. So when Craig's presentation is over, so please type in your questions as we're working through this. My name again is Jack Laffler with HighFlow Solutions. My contact information is j.laffler@highflowsolutions.com. The number you can reach me is 305-646-9933. Please reach out if you have further questions. I would love to show you a full extensive demo of the system and really get you introduced to high flow. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Gabe, and I'm going to stop sharing and let Gabe pick up and introduce Craig.
Great. Thank you, Jack. I mean, what I got out of that presentation you did there is that shop floor data is so critical, and having live data is even better. I encourage you guys, the companies that are out there listening, if you're not capturing your shop floor data, please do so, because that's going to help you in the long run with everything. So critical for a printing business. With that said, I thank you, Jack, and I'd like to turn it over to Craig Press from Profectus. Take it over, Craig.
Thank you. Let me pull my screen. Are you seeing my screen okay?
Got it.
Perfect. Okay, so as Gabe was saying earlier, we really split this up into two portions this webinar. I am going to be speaking more about the financial data and the budget hourly rates that drive all the reporting that that Jack just showed you in high flow, as well as any MIS system. I'm going to teach you a little bit about BHRs and the various cost factors involved with budget hourly rates. Obviously, in 20 minutes, I'm not going to be able to make you experts on budget hourly rates, but I think my goal is to give you a good understanding of the importance of these rates, how those keeping those rates up to date drives all your decision processes and your MIS reporting. Just a quick thing about Profectus. Some of you may have heard of me before. I actually used to work for the Printing Association of Florida as their technical director about 30 years ago. I'm aging myself now. But started Profectus back in 1993. We're based out of Sarasota, Florida, specializing in the printing and packaging industry. I have been consulting in pretty much every area of the industry, more so on what I like to call the business management side, or the pre-production and post-production side of the business. And that includes doing seminars and workshops and articles. I actually give a full day workshop just on budget hourly rates through some of the associations. Profectus, about 10 years ago, started developing a couple of products. One is we partnered with the Printing Industries of America to develop the financial ratio studies. If any of you are familiar with the ratio studies, it used to be books, and we basically put those books online. They became the performance ratios at the time. And then after the PIA was no longer, when they got acquired by Printing United, we actually took over the financial ratios. So that's one of our products, the financial ratios advisor, as we call it now. And the other product, which I'll be talking more about, is Cost Rates Advisor. And that's the program that will allow you to calculate your budget hourly rates as well as analyzing your costs. And I'll get more into that in a few minutes. So we have a survey we're going to put out there that Gabe, do you want to talk about this survey and explain to them how to participate?
Yeah, it should be popping up on your screen here in a minute. Yeah, all I ask is just click on the question is, when was the last time you updated your BHRs? Just pick one of those, and we'll start getting some live poll data there while Craig continues. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll go over the results in a few minutes. But if you don't know what BHRs are, I'm going to be explaining that right now. But basically, BHRs are the minimum amount you must charge for your production equipment and services in order to break even and recover your costs. It's basically the cost per hour to operate and maintain any of your production equipment, or it could be a service like handwork or kitting and things like that. And budget hourly rates are really based on your annual expense budget and what you project as chargeable hours on your equipment. And they typically do not include profit margins. They should really be your cost, your break even, out-of-pocket cost. So I always like to give this easy explanation. Again, I could probably spend hours going into details, but basically, let's say you had your own shop. You only had one press, no cutters, no folders. We're going to keep this simple. And your annual expenses are $332,000 a year. That includes what you're going to pay yourself and all the other expenses required to operate a business. So let's say that you have this one press and you plan on running that press 2,000 hours a year. That's what you think you're going to bill out. You're going to be running, doing make readies and running and printing product that you sold. So we call those billable hours. So what you do is you take the $332,000 divided by those 2,000 hours, and that tells me I need to bill out $166 an hour, which is my budget hourly rates, in order to get back my $332,000 at the end of the year. That's my break even. There's no profit. I won't make any money if I sold it at that rate. And this doesn't include paper and other consumables that may vary from job to job. This is just the cost of operating a business with a press, aside from outside services and paper. So that's the easy explanation. How is that used in your estimating, your spreadsheets or software or a high flow or whatever you're using to estimate costs? Basically, you have your hourly rate of $166 an hour. And let's say we have a job that we think it's going to take 3 hours to run on the press. So we multiply the $166 times our 3 hours, and that tells us the running portion of this job is going to cost us $498 just to print the job on the press. Again, excluding materials and outside services. That is our break-even out-of-pocket cost. And that you need for every piece of equipment you have. So I start off simple, but you really have a lot of other equipment in your shop, most likely. So you really need a budget hourly rate for all your equipment. If you're using an MIS system or even spreadsheets, all MIS systems have a place to put in your budget hourly rate. They all have different terms. Some call them labor, some call them manufacturing, so some call them all-inclusive rates, and so forth. But basically, anybody that has an MIS system needs budget hourly rates in order to utilize that system. It's used throughout your system. Okay. So where are these rates used? First of all, they're used in your estimates to estimate your time, material, and cost, and overhead cost. They're also used for pricing. If you're anybody that is using cost plus or estimates to determine their pricing, they have to have budget hourly rates. If you're using a price list, maybe you don't need budget hourly rates, but anybody using an MIS system is most likely using budget hourly rates to determine their price. If you're paying your salespeople commissions based on cost, usually it's a percentage of the actual cost or the value added. Sometimes a percentage of the invoice amount. Well, those dollars include budget hourly rates. So if your rates are incorrect, your commissions aren't going to be calculated correctly. Any job costing or profitability reports you're running, all of those are driven by your budget hourly cost rates. Sales analysis reports, if you're looking at sales analysis by, let's say, profitability by certain products or even a certain customer, well, your profitability report's going to be wrong, so your sales analysis reports are going to be wrong. If you run a monthly work in process report at the end of the month to see what the value of your work in process jobs are, you need budget hourly cost rates. Any kind of cost performance or benchmarks in your shop rely on budget hourly rates. When you're implementing your MIS system, obviously you're going to need you're going to need budget hourly rates. A lot of companies use old rates they've used over years. Sometimes the vendor will help you come up with the rates, sort of what I like to call a pseudo rate, but it may not be specific to your business. There's also some studies available that have been in the market many years ago, like the Blue Books and other that would give you rates, but again, those aren't your rates. So basically, any screen, report, data, spreadsheet, anything that you're using that is based on budgeted costs require budget hourly rates. If your budget hourly rates are incorrect, inaccurate, so are all the above that I just mentioned. So let's see those survey results. I think I can just bring this right here. Can you see that okay? Is that okay? Can you see these results on the screen? Can somebody give me a
indicator? Yeah, I shared it with the group, Craig, so you can just kind of go over the numbers.
Oh, okay. So basically what I'm seeing here is 26% of you have said that you've updated your rates in the past year. 16% of you in the past 2 years, 37% it's been more than 2 years, and 21% I can't remember. I love putting that question in there because so many of us inherit rates from previous people, owners, companies, whatever, previous estimators, previous cost analysts, and they never really get reevaluated and updated on an annual basis or when they should be. Just to show you, I have actually done my own survey over the years, and it's pretty close to your survey. So this is pretty consistent in the industry. What really gets me is, as an estimator in my past history, how companies will scrutinize every single thing on an estimate, the run speeds, the times, the hours, and even the dollars. Yet, if you have hourly rates that haven't been updated in years, then really, what are the dollar figures in those estimates? What do they really mean if they don't really reflect your current costs and they haven't been updated? In fact, your costs are changing all the time. You know, your expenses change, maybe your utilities, consumables, insurance. Jack just went over a whole list of things that have changed. Staffing changes, your equipment, maybe you bought new equipment or got rid of new equipment. Even workload changes. Maybe now suddenly you're doing a lot more digital work than sheet-fed work. That can actually change your cost structure. Maybe your priorities changes. Maybe you have a big account you just got in, and now you're bumping jobs off your equipment and putting on this customer's work, and that's changing the priority and changing your cost structure. All of these things that change your cost structure also change your budget hourly cost rates. And not to belabor the point, but as what Jack was saying, you can see just in the past year, in the past 12 months, past few years, how much in this graph here your labor has cost. Now, this is global for the US, but I'm sure in your shop you've had a lot of changes in labor and benefits as well in cost. Likewise, material costs and consumables have skyrocketed over the past few years. So again, any of you that haven't updated your rates in the past year or two, you may not be taking all these changes in consideration. And of course, energy costs have also changed dramatically in the past few years. So the bottom line is your rates are always changing, your costs are always changing, your rates are also changing. So you should really be updating your rates at least every 6 months. If not, you may also update them anytime there's a notable change. So for instance, if all of a sudden you bring in a big account or you buy a new press or you have a wage increase, that's a good time to update all your rates. So anytime there's a notable change, in the past, I used to say you should at least update your rates annually, but the economy has been so erratic over the past 4 or 5 years that you really should be looking at these at least every 6 months. And by doing that, you'll be able to recover all your out-of-pocket costs. You'll know you're doing that in your estimates. You'll be able to forecast your profitability. You'll know what your rock bottom out-of-pocket cost is so that you can price jobs appropriately. It'll allow you to win more good orders. And when I say good orders, a lot of people make the mistake and they think winning orders is good. Well, winning orders isn't always good. Good orders are the ones that are going to draw more profit. Sometimes, you take in orders that have very minimum profit or even cost you money, and those aren't good orders. You want the orders that you know that you're good at, that you know what your costs are, and you know what your profitability is going to be. And overall, by having your rates updated, you're going to improve your bottom line. So there's really a cycle in updating your budget hourly rates. Budget hourly rates come from your accounting, payroll data, and other financial data. That is used to update your BHRs, and then as you update your BHRs, you want to then update your estimating, pricing, MIS software, or spreadsheets, or whatever you're using to estimate or to figure out those rates. So I want to talk about some of the components. So we already talked about your annual expenses. So to come up with budget hourly rates for your equipment, so we're going to look at a bigger shop now with more equipment. First thing you want to look at is your financials. And your goal is really, our annual expenses in this company is 9.8 million. Your goal is to get that $9.8 million back with the equipment, selling your equipment time and your people time if you're selling services as well. This is the most predictable. You can't argue with your financial statement, hopefully not, and hopefully it is predictable. So if you start there, you really want to reconcile your financials with your BHRs, and I'll get into that. So the next step is to take the $9.8 million and you want to disseminate that against all your equipment, your budget hourly rates for all your production equipment. A lot of systems call them cost centers or work centers. And really, the idea is you want to allocate the expenses to the equipment that is incurring that expense. So let's just take a look at this one press here, this 640. So to come up with a rate for our Kamari 640, first thing we have are fixed costs. These are costs directly associated with this press. And you can see here, I've got the purchase itself, the assets, and I've got my direct machine interface. That's the attachment that High Flow was talking about. I don't know if they call it DMI, but the generic name is DMI, but that's connecting the sensors to the MIS system. And fixed expenses can also include things like equipment leases, maybe your mortgage, your insurance for the building, but basically fixed factory expenses don't change. They're there whether you use the equipment or not. You're stuck in that lease. You bought the assets. You have your mortgage, and you have to pay this regardless of how many hours you sell in the press. The next section are your variable factory costs. So variable factory costs are things that do change as your production increases or decreases. They're solely dependent on production. Things like direct supplies, equipment repairs and maintenance, employees' wages and benefits. So the more hours you run the press, the more wages, the more you have to pay people to run the machine, for instance. So those are all your variable factory costs. And then we have your SG&A. So somehow we need to recover our sales and administration, employee wages and benefits, our marketing expenses, our computers and other equipment, office supplies, anything that is related to maintaining the business. These are services and costs required to support the business and the operation. They may not tie directly to equipment. They're more of an indirect cost. So we allocate a portion of our SG&A, and then together, when you add in your factory costs and your SG&A, that gives you what most people call an all-inclusive cost. So your all-inclusive cost includes your fixed factory costs, your variable factory costs, all your employees, required to run the equipment, as well as any SG&A and other overhead expenses. So the next thing I want to talk about, so that gives you your cost. So this press costs us $1 million a year, regardless of how many hours we run it. That's what it's costing us based on what we think we're budgeting to run it. So here's how you get how many hours we're budgeting. So the first number I want to talk about is maximum hours available. Maximum hours available is really, what is your capacity? So let's say you have a press, you're running one shift. Well, you're basically at 2,080 hours, somewhere around there, depending on how many hours or how many days a week a year you shut down for holidays. But that is your maximum available hours, your maximum capacity. Your chargeable hours are the hours you think you're going to be working on jobs and billing out to customers. Things like make ready, set up, running, wash ups, clean up. Those are hopefully the time you're going to be able to bill to your customer. Doesn't include things like downtime, no work, and other expenses. They can be tracked using data collection. So basically what you have is you have our $1 million. We feel we're going to be able to run 2 shifts, but we're only going to bill out 85% of that. So if we take 85 or 3,468 hours, divide into our $1 million, we need to be billing out $288.35 an hour to break even on this press. The more hours you can sell, the more the fixed costs get diluted. So your hourly rate goes down and you'll become more competitive because, again, those fixed costs don't change. So this is showing you that if I'm able to bill out more hours, you can see my rate is actually going down to $353 an hour if I'm able to bill out 4,032 hours. Or if I'm only able to bill out 1,200 hours, I got to charge $866 to get back that $1 million. So when it comes to pricing, basically, if you estimate for a full year at your budget hourly rate, and you don't put any markups on anything, and you sell those jobs, the company is going to break even. 0 markup, no profit. Theoretically, if you add on average a 15% markup to your budget hourly cost rate in your estimates, the company is going to make a 15% profit margin. Now, obviously, every job should be reviewed. Some jobs you're going to make more, some you're going to make less, but on average, that should be your average. So how do you reconcile these rates? So you have your profit and loss. Probably most of you have a report similar to this that gives you a summary of all your costs and your profit and your revenue by month. So I know each month it's showing me what my profit margin is. And then you have your estimate. This is a summary of all the estimates we won for that month and what we estimated the profit margin to be based on our BHRs and our estimated costs. And then the third piece is your job costing. That would be coming from your data collection or manual cards or however you're tracking costs, if you are tracking costs. And through job costing, you should be able to also generate a profit report based on cost, what the profit was on those jobs. So what you want to do is compare all 3 of those numbers. Remember what I said, if you estimate with 0 markup, then your profit margin will be 0 at the end of the year. If my estimates are averaging, in this case, 14% up there, then if my BHRs are correct, then that should be my profit margin also at the end of the year, at the end of the month or the end of the year. So this green line is my profit margin. You can see I'm way off. I'm estimating and marking up a lot higher than we're actually making. I see this all the time. Companies marking up estimates 20%, and the profit margin's only, 10% or 5%. That's because you're compensating for your budget hourly rates being wrong through your markups. this is bad. Really, you want something that looks more like this. So your estimates, your job costing profits, and your P&L profits are all in sync with each other. That means my BHRs reflect my financials and my job costing, and we're gathering all the information that we need. We're not missing any costs, and everything is consistent. So we have a tool I mentioned earlier called Cost Rates Advisor. Cost Rates Advisor will calculate your budget hourly rates in a lot more detail than I just showed you. It analyzes your cost. It benchmarks your company against other companies. And to date, it's used by over 400 companies in the printing and packaging industry throughout the US and Canada. I think there's probably about at least 10 companies in Florida alone using that product. And basically what Cost Rates Advisor will do is give you that summary of the hourly rates like I showed you. These are actually screenshots from our software. So you can see it's breaking down your hourly rates. So whatever MIS system you have, however they slice it and dice it, it's giving you the rates you need. It also benchmarks. So since this product's been out there for over 10 years, and we have been collecting standards and hourly rates and costing data from companies for a study always. And basically, by you using our software, we're able to compare your cost to the industry. What we do is we calculate what we call a competitive cost score, and that is showing you how you compare it to the industry, or how you compare to other companies with that type of equipment. In this case, we're looking at a Kamari. So I can see here that our labor cost was $83.97 an hour, where the industry median was $43.92. Where our factory was about the same, SG&A was a little bit lower. So we can see overall, our hourly rate is actually $19 lower than the industry median. The industry median being the people in the middle throwing out the highs and lows of the underliers or the overliers. We're also offering a 25% discount on our product Cost Rates Advisor. On our order form, you'll see a place for a discount code. Just type in FGA, and a 25% discount will be applied to it. And that's it. I'm going to turn it over to Gabe.
Thank you so much, Craig. This is such great info. We do have a couple of questions. First question is to Jack. How is profit defined in your Power BI report examples?
The Power BI report examples go all the way back to what Craig was showing in the all-inclusive rate. So you're taking that all-inclusive rate, and that's how you're deriving your profit, because again, you know what your markup scale is, which I showed in the graph. And so therefore you're applying certain markups to that. So therefore your profitability should be at that percentage. And so it all derives all the way back to the beginning when you set up the estimating templates and the scheduling of the machines, you're using that all-inclusive rate.
Right. Another question for you, Jack. Someone says, we have implemented a system that we are not completely satisfied with. Can you help us in such a situation? And do you have experience with effective data migration?
Yeah, we have experience with data migration. Most systems out there, you can actually migrate the information through CSV files. We have helped other companies leave a system and then take on the high flow system. So it's just a matter of working through the details of what system you're trying to pull information from. But for the most part, those are CSV files.
Got it. And then another question to you, Jack. How long does the implementation take on a system like yours?
That really depends on the company itself, who we sold to, because how much time can they dedicate to the project. But our normal turn time is anywhere from 6 to 9 months. We've done ones as fast as 4 months. So the idea is that the more effort that the buyer puts into it, typically the faster the implementation goes.
Right. Awesome. This question is for you, Craig. How can I determine whether my BHRs are performing as they should each month? What metric would allow me to judge it?
So I saw that question come in, and it looks like it came in before my last few slides. The best way to do that is really compare your estimated profitability with your actual profitability. Again, your profitability in your estimates, whatever you're marking up your estimates, should be consistent with your monthly financials.
Craig, I noticed that you had depreciation schedules kind of built in there. Is that something that you recommend, or is that an industry standard or a GAAP principle, or what do you recommend? Like I noticed that like a press, a 40-inch press was depreciating at 7 years. Is that kind of industry standard, or is that just up to the person?
It's really up to the person and really your accountant. But basically, one question that always comes up about depreciation: if I have older equipment that's fully depreciated, do I still include depreciation in my budget hourly rates? And the answer is yes, because at some point you're going to want to replace that equipment, unless you're going out of business. But I'm sure you're going to want to replace that equipment, or maybe even rebuild it in the future. So you always want to capture money towards that investment so that you can grow and sustain the business.
Greg, in your software, I saw the screen that basically showed all the listed equipment. Do you recommend just like grouping, like let's say folders together if you have 4 or 5 folders, or do you recommend each individual folder to have its own?
So there's no black and white answer to that. Typically, if they are folders, and for example, folders that are identical, that can do the same function, I would say lump them together and come up with an average rate. If you have a piece of equipment that's very distinct, maybe it's a pole feeder and it does scoring or whatever, you probably want to keep that rate separately, because when you estimate, they may pick that machine than the other folders. So you want to make sure that rate is associated with the equipment they're actually estimating to run on. I see when you don't lump similar equipment together, sometimes you end up with a folder, and maybe you have 3 40-inch folders, but one doesn't get used as much. And sometimes that rate's really high and the estimators never even pick it. And so everything's estimated on the more efficient folder. And then when they do run jobs on that other folder, you're going to end up losing money. So it's best to come up with an average blended rate of all 3 of those folders in that example.
And then one last question: do you recommend, so the footprint that the equipment takes in the shop, that's a variable, right? That's an area that you kind of account for. If you have, for example, a folder gluer that is a mile long,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So typically you allocate a portion of your building occupancy expenses based on square footage. So your mortgage, real estate taxes, things like that. If you have a piece of equipment that takes up a lot more room, an inserter as opposed to a 3-hole drill, you want to make sure that it's allocating more of that expense because it's taking up more room. You need that room. The other thing is that it's not just really the footprint you want to look at. You want to look at the work area required. So you may have a staging area in the front or the back of the machine. Sometimes if you have stock paper inventory just for digital equipment, let's just say, some people allocate a portion of that storage area to the equipment as well, because that is needed to sustain the digital presses, for instance.
That's interesting. Oh, great. Well, thank you. Just a couple of notes. Again, I wanted to first thank you both for being on the webinar and sharing this great info. This, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is being recorded and it will be available tomorrow on floridagraphics.org. I want to thank you all for joining today. Just a reminder, Jack Highflow mentioned that there's a $5,000 discount if you implement their software. And Craig, you mentioned a 25% discount to FGA members. But I also wanted to add that if please check with your local print affiliate. Chances are they also have an agreement with Craig on the discount. And I think if you join the webinar, I think Craig's going to honor it anyway. So, but just keep that in mind. Because you were part of today's webinar, there's some couple little extra features there, a little extra bonuses for you there. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and we're giving you a little bit of time back. So appreciate it again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.